Michael and this is DMS 51412.
Hi, I'm Paul and we're restoring her back to her former glory.
Hi, I'm Scott. Jump on board and join us on our journey.
And I'm Johnny, and welcome to Destination DMU.
Right guys, welcome to the next episode of Destination DMU, and in this episode you're going to see much of the same as you did last time, with a little bit of variety, more open heart surgery on the framework side of things, getting that all back together nice and structurally sound, and more panel work and just getting it a bit more complete and progressing to that halfway point on the DMU.
So yeah, it should be an exciting episode and lots to come, and hope you enjoy.
Right guys, so what we're doing here is we're installing a window frame. This can be a bit of a finicky task because you've got to make sure you get at least 1 or 2 mils lip around here for the window rubber to seat against the window. We're putting these machine screws in. They'll obviously be countersunk and installed flushly and then welded over the top, which seems to be what they've done back in the day. And that's got to be done all the way around. Then the glass can be installed with the new rubber.
So, as you can see, we're now slightly further along the unit and we have managed to take out the cantrail here. We're about another metre on from where you saw us in the last video, taking up the roof to 200 this time, slightly lower than the previous cutting out that we did because we had to cut out our old repair. So now we're going back to what we always do, apart from that. And you will be able to see here these 2 uprights. Now, these 2 uprights are good. So therefore we do our best to keep them, because why create more work for yourself really? So we have very slowly off camera dissected the cant rail, sacrificed it completely. It was utterly shot, you could see through it here. But what we have done is we have then dissected it and got us to the point where we have got the profile that we need on the top of these uprights. So now what you're going to see is, I think, a bit more of building the framework back, except from that kind of angle rather than inside. And I think I'll show you how I put the bend in the car line as well when we get to it. So as you saw there, we've also cut out a patch around here, mainly because it was all filler. Put in obviously a new bit of framework. Finally welded up this last bit of the first section of cant rail that we put in the last episode. And I told you I'd explain how we did these car line sections. Now it doesn't look like it fits, but that's because we haven't, not forced it into place, but encouraged it into the correct place. But pretty much, it's fairly simple. We cut it. There's a weird kind of angle. There's like a 97-degree angle on the top part of the cant rail, which probably isn't obvious on camera. So hence the slightly weird angle on this and on all of them. But it matches up all right. And pretty much just mark out lines every 20 mil an inch, roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect like with this one. I just felt like, yeah, let's do a bigger one. And it'll still work fine, as long as they're consistent. Obviously, if you're doing a longer, higher piece, then you're gonna need more cuts. And then what you do is you cut. The width of the cutting blade is about 2 mil-ish, 2 to 3 mil. So I find with a smaller grinder, it's slightly less, it's about 1.5 mil. So with the big grinder, with a 2 to 3 mil cutting disc, it takes about 2 to 3 cuts. So you cut it, then you force that cut together, then you cut that same cut again, make it slightly bigger by doing so, move, so on and so forth, and then a little bit of coercing, and you can, what I'll do is I'll tack it in place there, and because there's still a bit of gap in these cuts, because the metal likes to spring back to its original shape. Tack it in there and then clamp it in, and then, you know, bob's your uncle. So, but we always do the bottom first, because if this needs to be pulled into the right level, the roof is going to be, you know, it's going to be at that correct level, because the acrows are less likely to move than the ratchet straps. So we work from the bottom up, and it's also quite helpful working from the bottom up, because, well, everything stays supported. So that's how we do that, and now what you're going to see is us finish this monstrosity. I've got another 2 of these to do along the behind where you are, on the new section of cant rail. So we'll put the new bit of cant rail in. One of them, literally just the bottom had rusted out, so that's just going to be a sliver. I don't even need to cut that. I just need to find like a nice wedge-shaped bit, bang it in there, and the other one's similar height to this. So yeah, that's what you're going to see next, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. If something goes wrong, you'll see me sooner than I want to see you.
Right guys, so as you can see, the framework is clean, painted and treated now. It's ready to accept the panel. The hinges have obviously all been replaced with new steel work put on them, ready for the panel to mount to them. The framework's all done now, as Johnny's previously mentioned, and also, as you may be able to see, might get out of shot, is I put a couple of patches in, and what you saw getting cut out on the previous panel. Next to this one, that's all been welded in, and so it's just time to fill this big gap now and get a new panel in.
So as you've seen, we banged this in. It was not as easy as first thought, as you might have, you know, guessed by up, down, cut, up, down, bit of a gap, up, cut, down. These gaps here, it's just really hard to get the measurement because you're trying to get this bottom line. That's kind of the most important, really, reference piece, because if that's out of whack, that's fairly obvious. Whereas with these, we can put a little filler piece in, you know, weld it flush, and, you know, you put a grinder over it, you'd never know the difference. You do, because you've seen it. But we bang this in. We are yet to grind down the weld, cut the window out, obviously, you know, the routine kind of goes over and over, except for this time we'll fit a brand new window frame in here. Well, not brand new, but completely restored, painted, instead of leaving it like half in. So the next thing you're going to see is we've got to put the roof in, but before we can do that, we need to put in the pull cord tube. So it's where the pull cord chain runs through behind the interior roof. So obviously, if you need to, you know, stop the train, you just pull that. Well, we obviously need to get that in working order, and we've had to cut it out because some of the car line, you know, has gone above the point where the pull cord chain comes through. So we've got to drill the holes in the car line for that, put it in, weld it all together, make sure the chain goes through it nicely, and then put the roof on, because it's an utter pain if you do put the roof on and then you've got to do that because you've just got so much less room to work with, and it's just more of a pain. So that's what you're going to see next, and then the roof, which will be the next jolly task. So that will be kind of be going on. We'll probably cut this out off camera. We might fit the window frame on camera. It just depends how we feel, depends how busy we are, because we are really, we're grinding at the moment. So it's really good because obviously we're getting loads done, but obviously we're trying to be efficient, and stopping to film everything every 5 seconds isn't efficient, but you've seen that in the last episode. So I think we can leave this out for this one. So that's what you're going to see next, and we'll get on it.
A quick interjection, if I may. We now have a donations page which you can either find on our channel banner link and the link below of this video and any other of our videos. Thankfully, we are not reliant on donations, but it all does help to buy metal, paints, anything, just a little bit towards getting this old girl and her sisters up and running again for you all to enjoy. Right guys, so what we're about to do now is put some pull cord chain tubing in here, which you might be able to see. I don't know if it's in shot or not. We've got to put that in our lovely new car line sections. So obviously when the passenger pulls, the pull cord chain activates a little valve in the cab which puts the brakes on. So we need to get that all the way through. Big safety feature, must be done properly so the chain is nice and free inside. Also, another thing we need to do is put out the bits what you see in the saloon itself, in the little aluminium squares where the pull cord chain shows through. We need to cut out the slots for them because they sit in here and then attach to these pipes here. So they need cutting out also before we can then fit the roof on after. Right guys, so now has finally come the time to start reassembling the tin opener that we opened up a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to be putting in a 70 in here, just over a 200 in here, so on and so forth. And we've got these little holes drilled to pull the body side in, the roof in. As you can see, it's quite flexible. That'll pull that in so we can get a nice flush weld join, or as good as, with something that's 60 years old. And allow us to blend the roof a lot nicer than say if we hadn't and it's sticking out like this. It would be a right pain to try and weld. So covering up all this lovely framework that Johnny has very excellently welded, all the pull cords back in and all working. We just need to get this roof back in now to complete the look. Right guys, so that's a wrap for this episode now. As you can see, all the roof work is back in, minus the tops of the doors, which I shall tackle very soon. That's just a sundry job compared to this mammoth task. I think it's about 6 meters in total that we have replaced, which is a new record for what we've managed to do on this unit. So yeah, it's now got nice strong thick steel in there again, all covered back up on the nice new framework that's underneath it. So yeah, a bit of a mammoth task, but it's nice that it's actually back together and not holes in the side. So what we're going to do now is just finish up, like I say, the sundry tasks, putting the metal above the doors, putting the window frames in the other panels, and just getting that ready so that they can be finished, and then on to the next episodes. Right guys, so that brings this episode to a close. As you can see, 2 new panels, lots of new roof, lots of new framework. We've achieved quite a lot in this episode and the last couple so far. Yeah, so what you're going to be seeing in the next episode is going to be 70mm getting cut out of the roof where we think the cant rail is okay, so we need to inspect it, clean it and paint it. Lots more of ripping out and renewing panels, which is going to be preparing us for the next time, and just cracking on with the new bits and getting closer to the finish line hopefully.
So yeah, it's been a pretty exciting episode, and a lot of work has gone into that roof. That has yet again been another 2-day kind of time lapse on that one, but it's in. It's probably the best repair we've done. So, you know, our naivety 5 years ago, we finally righted, so I can sleep well at night now. But yeah, so apart from that, it's just been a really kind of exciting episode. There's been a lot of stuff going on. You can probably see as well, we haven't kind of got around to the hinges. They'll get done. We haven't kind of got around to the window frame. Yet again, that'll get done. That's pretty much ready to go in. I've already test fitted it. I've already shaped the corner, so it should be one and done kind of thing. Clamp it in, bolt it up, seal it up, done. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next very exciting episode.